Yeah, and I'm actually not even supposed to be home today. I'm supposed to be out playing poker, and the tournament series that I'm playing in has turned out to be pretty lame. I was talking to Derek Moody in New Orleans. You know Derek, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he was explaining he was asking me what I didn't like about the poker series that I was in. And I was explaining it to him. And then when I explained it to him, I'm like, you know what? I just talked myself out of staying here. So I left the series, and it's just not what I wanted. So anyhow, welcome y'all. I don't know if Ray is going to kick in or not. He's actually doing some super secret training somewhere. It has something to do with a power wash store or something. I don't know. Yeah. So I think the cat's already been let out of the bag that Ray is going to open up a power wash store in Tallahassee, Florida. So he's up doing some super secret training right now on that, and as well as a lot of the other owners. I think it's a whole group meeting with them. So I don't think he'll be joining us, but maybe he will. And he is employee number 7. Anyhow, and again, he's not very good at it being an employee. So I thought today somebody asked about Galvalume Roofing, and I wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper and talk about some. I know that we cover it pretty thoroughly in the plant and property protection class, but Galvalume Roofing is it's one of them things, and I mean it causes heartburn for a lot of people, and it is definitely one of those things where if you ask 1,000 different contractors, right, how many different replies are you going to get? Probably about 3,000 different replies, different thoughts on it, different ways of cleaning it, or whatever. There's so many different opinions on Galvalume out there, and so we're going to try to boil some of that down and kind of get into it. So Jason, I was asking you a little bit about what do you know about Galvalume, and let's bring that up as the starting point.
Well, Galvalume, to me, with my trained eye, I can kind of spot it. It has a whiter color than your normal galvanized roofing. Let's bring up the differences, if you will. Galvanized roofing alone, it obviously galvanized steel, and then it has a oil coating, and that's the less expensive metal roof option. Then you have Galvalume, and Galvalume is more expensive, more longer life, versus galvanized steel. And instead of it having an oil coating, it's actually got an aluminum and zinc coating. And what that does is what is highly reactive to the SH. And unfortunately, we had an incident. Another gentleman did last week that we all kind of saw. How he, what I call, smoked it. And
hardcore,
that's unfortunate, and that I'm all for him learning, but that could have been avoided with some research, and
just a little bit of research too,
right? So but like I said, Galvalume, if you ask the homeowner if they built the house, they will know for sure that it is Galvalume because they paid the upgrade price for it. And so that's what you have to be extremely careful about.
Well, and some of it is, and on that one that you were talking about in particular, the one that it's something I talked about a little bit last week. To me, it's disturbing what happens in the industry to begin with, and not just on Galvalume roofing. And Galvalume is not just used on roofing; it's also used on as an exterior cladding on the walls and so on. Though it's not supposed to be in contact with like concrete and a few other things it's not supposed to touch. But anyhow, one of the things I see a lot in this industry is, guys are talking about, man, I was spraying this and it started doing this. And so I turned my sauce up and I hit it again and that didn't help. And so I turned my sauce up again. The next thing you know, I was using 100% bleach. And I'm like, pull my hair out, because like, if something is going wrong, you stop doing what you're doing and, see if maybe there's something that you're doing wrong. Because with Galvalume, it's really that way. And I want to bring up Chicagoland Soft Wash here, what they're saying, like Alucobond panels. Alucobond panels are devil's dominoes, is what we like to call them. And that's kind of the way I feel about Galvalume. So to go a little bit deeper into Galvalume, So what is Galvalume? What is galvanized galvanization? And Jason, are you aware that there's also a Galvalume Plus?
I am not actually. I'm learning that too.
We're going to cover that tonight as well. So let's see. Wild West is here. We got Rich and Maria. Always thought galvanized metal roofs and Galvalume were the same thing. Nope. We're going to talk about that this evening and get away from that. So the other thing is so going back to it again, Galvalume is, so you have a steel sheet, a steel panel, right? And they'll hot dip it in a zinc, aluminum, and silicone mixture. And it's pretty close to a 50-50 mix on the zinc and aluminum. It's not there. You have like more aluminum than you do zinc. And then they'll throw that little bit of silicone in there. I think it's like 1.5% of it is silicone. And that is what is the Galvalume, okay? And then the galvanized is just the zinc coating, if you would. And then the Plus, they add the acrylic coating to it. So that's what's called the Galvalume Plus, is when they add the acrylic coating to it. Look, one of the questions that I was asked today was, how do you look at it and tell what the which is different, if it's galvanized or Galvalume? And Jason, you said earlier, you kind of know when you look at it. So what is something you look for to determine whether it's galvanized or if it's Galvalume?
The color, number one, kind of gives it away. Again, my eyes were kind of trained for it, but Galvalume has more of a whiter color to it than the normal galvanized steel. Number two, if it's a seamless roof, that's also a dead giveaway. There's, and I'm sure all across the country there's different, different roof structures. However, in this area, if it's seamless, most of the time it's going to be the Galvalume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, and a lot of ours here, it's screwed down, so it's that way. So one of the things that I've noticed is, and again, this is where I want to go specifics, where this is your area, my area, and it's slightly different, right? But one of the things that I noticed is that the Galvalume is generally a much richer, much shinier, much I use the word rich because it's just kind of the appearance of it, right? It just has this pop to it, where galvanized metal is kind of more of a dull appearance to it. It doesn't have quite the pop that the Galvalume has. And in one of the things that I notice in my area is when I look somewhat specifically at Galvalume panels, they have more of a squarish pattern all over it if you really look at it, where the galvanized has more of a circular dots to it, if you will. That's not completely true, and it's not completely the way to tell. And in some of the research that I've done as well, they'll even say some of the people that make it can't tell the difference. So it has to be something that they have to test or whatever the case may be to figure it out. But I think when you clean enough of it, you walk up to it and you're like, yep, that's the devil's play stuff right there. So that's some of what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, so let's see. Truth Seeker says, I'll be interested to see what they say about washing a house with a Galvalume roof. I did one, and I think I rinsed the roof more than I rinsed the house. Absolutely. Let's see. Isn't galvanized able to stick magnets to it? So, Jason, I know the answer. What you got? You think about that?
I'm gonna say yes. It's steel.
So here's the thing. Sometimes the homeowner will even come out and say, well, that's an aluminum roof, because that's what the salesman sold them. And if it truly is an aluminum roof, guess what? Your magnet's not going to stick to it. If it's Galvalume, how did we say it was made? It was made with a steel panel, and then they dip it in the zinc and the aluminum, or the aluminum and the zinc mixture with the silicone. So it is still a steel panel, and a magnet will stick to it. Now, I'm also going to tell you guys, I want to be straight up. By the way, share this out in the other groups if y'all don't mind. But I want to be straight up, as always, that some of what I'm going to talk about tonight hasn't been fully vetted. And what I mean by that is I try to do my research. I try to make sure of everything I'm talking about. And we've got a lot of this in the Spray Wash Pro platform and on the plant and property class that's been vetted, all that kind of, we research it, we make sure it's there. There's going to be a few things, and when I come up with that, I'll let you know that, because there are a few things here that I had some thoughts today about some things, and so I might go over that as we go along. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on all that. And again, if y'all don't mind, share it out in the groups. Also, don't forget, within 2 weeks is the huge convention. So Jason, right there, he'll be helping us out with the pro mastermind group class and the talking about rig building. Jason, tell me a little bit about that. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I love rig building. I don't love it when I'm actually doing it, but I love to see the outcome. It's like, I made that. That's pretty cool, But rig building, I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna keep it somewhat general, but I'll be open to to more specific questions. But I'm gonna start out with like a beginner rig. What does that? In my opinion, what is that? Like an intermediate rig, and then go up to a pro rig to where you have all top of the line machines, twin eights, boosters, that sort of thing. And just kind of some tricks of the trade, kind of what what sealants that I've used, what thread tape am I using, what quick connects, that sort of thing. Because these little things I've learned, they can shut a rig down really really fast. So and I have been the one in the field calling other people saying, hey, this ain't working, what do I need to do? And I think this is it, kind of thing. But in this industry, time is money. And when your rig is down, you are profiting $0 at that point. So
absolutely, you're going negative.
Right. So, my goal is to kind of help, I guess you'll say, pencil in the blueprints of a rig, of a beginner, intermediate, and pro rig. And the biggest reason why I like building rigs is because I know if something breaks down, I know where to go look. That's my thing. And I want to make it easy. I want to fix it fast. I want to get back to work.
Yep, same here. All right, let's answer a couple questions here, and then we'll get back at it. But so this one here, if things are such a bitch to clean, why in the world would anyone ever pay extra for it? Because it looks nice. And I'll go on to the next one where it says Facebook user, and that's the luster. I think that's why people pay for it. It has that rich appearance. They don't know when they're talking to the sales guy that that there's a problem cleaning it, right? So they don't ask that question, and then they buy it, and then they find out, oh, okay, this is an issue. So most people just don't know that. They don't look at it. They don't listen to it. They don't deal with it. Galvanized and shine depends on how clean the dip tank is over time. It changes. I could agree with that, most definitely. I don't know what you're asking. I don't know who this is. It just says, hey, Dougie, could you please share this on my page? I don't know who that is. So look, here's the problem with Streamyard. Sometimes it just says Facebook user, and that's it. Also, depending on where I'm looking at it from, it's not showing me all the comments. So there are people making comments that we don't even see until after the stream is over. It's one of the things that I don't like about Streamyard. And Ray and I were talking about this the other day about seeing if, about maybe going a different direction again, because we're trying to find the best out there, and we're just not having a good time with it. Colin says, always want double axle or single good. Jason, what's your opinion on that? I know where mine is.
I'm always going to be a double axle guy.
Double axle trailer, yeah.
My opinion, I learned, and again, I want to preface this, I don't know everything in the world. I'm sure Dougie doesn't know everything in the world, and Raymond. However, we've all been in somebody's shoes at some point. Okay, so we all started off as a little guy, and fortunately, my first, bigger trailer was a double axle, and I grew into it and quickly grew out of it. So, spend what you can. I would not advise to go into debt for anything, but double axle is generally the way to go.
So here's a quick thought on that, and then I want to get into this question and get back into the Galvalume discussion. But single axle trailers, I think, can be good for starters. I don't think they're good for the long term, but you also have to remember that you really have to look at the weight rating of that axle, and remember that water weighs what?
8.3.
8.24, 8.3 gallons or pounds per gallon, and bleach is like 10 pounds per gallon, somewhere around there. So all that on that rig can quickly overload those axles. So there you go. Oh, before I get into this question here, I have to light this one up. Dougie Doo is the coolest guy I know. Absolutely. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Well, he must not have many friends then.
I don't think he has any friends. He wears yellow boots. I mean, he's just not there. So anyhow, lady just messaged me right now wanting a quote on her galvanized roof. So I'll give you my opinion on galvanized roofs or Galvalume roofs, because there is a big difference between the two. And I'm going to highlight some things here in a little bit. But for me, my company, when I owned my company, we decided at one point to stop spraying Galvalume altogether with bleach. And we went a completely different direction with it. And if you read some of the cleaning maintenance bulletins out there, some of them will say don't use bleach. Matter of fact, I got one that I'll show you here later on that says, like, add a 1/4 cup of bleach per gallon of water, kind of a thing. And that's like a 1/64 mix ratio. I mean, it's like I could drink that, kind of thing. So one of the things that we've done is I explain it 3 ways. If it's a Galvalume roof, that there's 3 ways to clean it. I can spray it with a bleach mixture like we normally do, but you as the homeowner must sign on the dotted line that you were taking all risks associated with doing that, and that I do not advise that it be cleaned that way, okay? And here's the reason. If we have, again, 1,000 different guys on here, you're going to get most people saying, this guy is full of it. I've washed 1,000 of those roofs and never had a problem, okay? And I would say the same thing. I've washed a lot of Galvalume roofs and never had an issue. And then I've washed a few Galvalume roofs that just had an issue. And we're going to cover some of that here this evening as to that. So we start off by saying, we can do it with the chemical, but we're not going to be liable. Drop my pen. Or it's pressure washed. And if it's pressure washed, that's going to depend on the slope and, all these different kinds of things. And I'm also going to make you sign on the dotted line that we're not responsible for water intrusion, because I don't recommend that. Depending on, if your screws are at all loose, water's going to get in. If the seams are up a little bit, water can get in. You have to know how to spray. If you've got your metal roofing, it comes over itself like this, and you spray water, it can go right up underneath there. You need to spray the opposite direction to try to minimize that kind of an issue from happening to begin with. Okay, and then the third way is brushing that thing. One of the jobs that we did, we went to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer said, simple green water, that's it. That's all they would recommend. So that requires us to brush this entire roof, and charging accordingly is important. And another thing I want to point out here is that Galvalume is like Kleenex. It is a specific name that is specific to someone. It is a brand, okay? So I believe Galvalume was actually invented like back in the 70s by, I think it was Bethlehem Steel, and they have the patent on it, and then other people have licensed that technology or do whatever, however it's gone out. So a lot of people do the Galvalume process, but Galvalume is actually a name, if you would, for that process that was created by Bethlehem. I think it was Bethlehem Steel. Anyhow, so there's that. So going those different directions, that's how we do it. One of 3 ways. How about you, Jason?
Well, you kind of put me on the spot here, but the way that I do it, I guess a little bit more aggressive to that. I do not offer any kind of high pressure to any house whatsoever, especially I would rather educate the client, versus just agreeing with them for the high pressure. But the ones that I do, I spot test every single one of them. And I tell the client, I give them their price, and then the day of the job, I tell them that I'm going to do a spot test. If it fails my spot test, I'm turning the job down, kind of thing. But if it's good, then we'll continue on. I kind of treat them, if anybody's ever washed solar panels, it's about the same thing. What we do is we cool them down first, because the hotter the surface, or the hotter the material, the faster, I believe, the chemical is going to work. Obviously, to the contrary, this, the colder it is, the slower it is, just like SH. But always, I never use the booster or Pro P for it. I'm always downstreaming. So I'll do one little splash of downstream and stop and give it like 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes. I do not let it ever dry. So I'm doing sections at a time, kind of like a hot house. So, but that's the way I do it. It may not be everybody's way, but it's been a pretty safe bet. Test spots are going to tell you everything.
I was trying to bring up this window, and then I clicked off of it. And it looks like I might have completely removed it from my thing here. Oh, I X'd off of it. That's what I did. Dang it. How did I do that? Why did I do that? I had this all set up to share, and I didn't. All right, I'm going to bring up this picture then. Well, hopefully I'll bring the other one back in. So look, the main reason I'm bringing this one up, dang, this really isn't the one that I want to show. All right, I'll have to go back in and grab that other picture. Let me go back to where I was, and I'm going to stop that one. I am going to go back here. My apologies. I X'd the picture instead of sharing it. All right. So what I want to do is I want to read this to y'all, and it's going to be difficult to see. Okay, but this right here. Let me see if I can expand this a little bit. If you can see it, it says Galvalume has a cousin, Galvalume Plus. The only difference in the Plus is a thin, clear acrylic coat, because Galvalume Plus can be roll formed dry without vanishing oil. It is very easy to form and install safely. That is not the one that I was meaning to show you. See how I am. Good on me. Love when I get to screw up like that, right? All right. Well, let me do this. Let me go back over to the comments here real quick, and then I'll go and I'll pick up that picture that I had, because I want to touch on what you just said, Jason. And for me, it's really important to touch on it. So I'll bring that picture back up, and then we'll talk on that. So Michael says, about 10 years ago, a customer with Galvalume roof on the main house, and the detached garage was not, and that's where I did my sample spot. I'm going to talk about sample spots. And let me bring this picture back up, and I'm going to talk about sample spots and why they're not always the end all be all for you, and that you really still have to watch yourself. That's why I use a very specific verbiage nowadays. Okay. And that's the only reason why I didn't pay for a new roof. There you go. Let's see. It only takes one bad roof to cause problems. Absolutely. And that's where the problem for me comes up at, right? You can go out and you can clean 100 roofs and not have a problem. And then you have that one, and now it creates a big problem. And that's why, for me, it's important to educate ourselves on what can go wrong, what could go wrong, some of the potentials that are out there. And again, areas are different. And, is it a Galvalume roof? Is it not a Galvalume roof? And figuring these things out ahead of time can help you prevent this problem from happening. Facebook user says, when I first started, went cheaper with a single axle trailer, ended up buying a tandem axle kit and paying someone to install it. Stuff we're hauling is way too heavy for a single axle. Absolutely. MTH is in the house. Let's see. Rough day in the neighborhood. Uh-oh. All right. So let me do this. Let me see if I can pull this picture back up real quick. Give me one brief moment. Jason, why don't you say something while I'm trying to figure out this picture thing?
All right. Well, one thing, back to the rig building question, or the rig question the other person had about, or statement about the weight of the trailer and all that, is the last enclosed trailer I ordered. I custom ordered it with 5,200 pound dual axles with brakes on it and everything. So that's a gross total of 10,400 pounds that those axles can carry. But some people don't realize is, let's say you get a single axle trailer, 2,500 pound axle. Well, okay, 2,500 sounds like a lot, but that's, you also have to figure in how much the trailer itself weighs.
Absolutely.
Carrying, let's say it weighs 900 pounds or 1,000 pounds for the trailer itself. Well, all you can carry now is 1,500, or 1,500 pounds. That's it. And if I see people all the time with single axle trailers, and they have an IBC tote that's halfway full. I'm like, well, you know, your trailer's already maxed out, with a half IBC tote full of water. And I understand that, 2,500 pounds is the recommended weight, and you can probably go over. I'm not going to say you can, but that's the recommended weight. So I would try to stick around there, especially if you're trying to be DOT compliant.
Mm-hmm.
If you're over, they're going to bust you.
Exactly. All right. So did I just get rid of it again? Don't tell me I did that.
You need a secretary.
I'm telling you what, I don't know what. Oh, because I think did I shrink it down? What did I do here? I guess I have to leave it up. There it is. All right. Okay. Let's get back. Let me see if I can go full screen on this one. And so here's the reason. And I know that this might be difficult to see online here. Okay. But if you can see this image, right? You see how kind of up in the corner there is a squirt bottle. Can you guys see that right there, Jason?
Barely, but yes.
Barely. Okay. So one thing I want you to notice is that there's a drip line here from the metal roofing above, right? So this drip line, there is no damage to the Galvalume on most of the panels. Then on the very front side of that, you can see that there's damage down below the drip line. And then up where that bottle is, there's damage above the drip line, but not below it. And then really heavy down in that one corner. Okay. Let me exit full screen. And here's part of my point in this. This job was done in the cool morning. It was, so there was dew all over the roof. We were not cleaning the roof on this job. Okay. We were actually cleaning the vinyl siding on this job. And I keep saying vinyl siding, and I'm looking, I got to go back and look at those pictures because that may not be vinyl. But I believe this was all vinyl. I have to go back and look at the pictures. And the house was only 1 year old, okay? So I very specifically told my guys, pre-wet the roof first, even though it's the morning, the sun's not on it, it's not hot. Matter of fact, even in this picture, you can see we're coming back, again, this is in the morning when we're coming back about the same time that it was sprayed the day before, okay? Nice and cool, shade right there. No reason for the heat or the sun to have caused the issue. Yet, boom, above the drip line and below the drip line in different areas, okay? Because in my estimation, there are some of these panels that just have stuff on them. And if it's the reaction to the stuff or where the coating has been compromised by them maybe cleaning as it was brand new, and they built the house, and maybe they were up there putting the siding on and they got something on the panel, and then they cleaned that area of that panel, removing that coating that was protecting the Galvalume, okay? And that's kind of what my theory is on that particular roof. Here's the other thing. Got another really good friend in this industry that I like a lot. I wanted to bring his picture in, but I didn't get his permission to do that. Hadn't had a chance to talk to him. And he was spraying the vast majority of a roof, and only one area of this roof turned black on it. I did the same thing. We had a roof that we were spraying, we were cleaning the parapet walls on it and all that, really expensive house. But anyhow, only certain areas that would turn black on the roof. And for me, we go out and we would do a test spot, and that particular spot didn't have a problem, but then another spot did. So even though you're testing in different areas, that doesn't necessarily mean that the entire roof is not going to have a problem. That's where my problem with this devil's thing here, because it's not Devil's Dominoes, that's a Lucabon, but I think this is the Devil Roofing kind of a thing, comes from. All right, let's go here. Start adding hardy board to the mix. Their coatings are prematurely failing, and they have a 10-year warranty. I've done several homes with hardy board, and it has the same issue. Yeah, hardy board can be a pain in the butt. One of the things I find about hardy board, though, is if you let it dry thoroughly, a lot of those issues just tend to just go away. You know, unless they've oxidized or done something funny like that. You have much hardy board there, Jason?
We have a lot of hardy board here, and I've taught my crews to let when you see hardy board, we're doing one side at a time. so we're not letting anything dry, especially if the hot sun is beating on it. We always cool that side down, then we're downstreaming it, and then give it 3 or 4 minutes. Then we're right to rinsing that one side. I haven't had a whole lot of problem with hardy board itself, but I have had a lot of problems with the paint on the hardy board failing. Especially, there's quite a few builders around here that use the organic Sherwin-Williams on the hardy board, and that's, and when we see hardy board, we always test it. We tested one. It was about 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, it wasn't hardy board. It was actually just a brick home that a friend of mine painted. She later sold it and moved, but the new owner contracted us out to wash it, and thank goodness my crew saw the paint, and they did a test spot just above the dirt line, and it turned colors, and he went inside and spoke to the homeowner and told them this is what's going to happen.
Yep.
Of course, we're not going to proceed. So
yeah, done and over with right there. So that actually plays right into what Chicagoland Soft Wash is saying. Too many people use bleach on so many surfaces that may not be required by the manufacturers. Absolutely. And, the organic pigment paints are one of them. Test spots are easy to do. And organic pigment paints typically will turn very quickly. Again, it's the same thing with some of the Galvalume. It won't always just pop and show you right off the bat. But a lot of surfaces, the manufacturers, they will even explicitly say, do not use bleach. And so you got to be careful when you get into some of the different materials and different things that are out there. So this picture here is kind of the same thing. So this is one I was explaining to somebody else earlier today, that we were hired to clean the kind of the metal roofing that you see on what would be the right-hand side here, knowing that the Galvalume roof down below was being removed. It was being taken away. So I knew it didn't matter if we smoked it or not. So that was the reason we didn't cover it. Otherwise, we would have covered it with plastic. You can very clearly see right under the drip line is where it just smoked it completely black. Then you can see the overspray pattern that we got on that Galvalume roof down below. Now, this was a warm, sunny day. And I believe that highly contributes to the smoking of the Galvalume. But even at that, we had pre-wet the roof that we were cleaning, the cream colored roof, to cool it down as well. And it was even an overcast day for good parts of the day, but there was a lot of sun out. So, but there's that. So another thing with that is that I had a thought go just right through my head. I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. So I won't discuss it because I don't know what it is. Anyhow, all right. So the next one says, can you speak on what do you do to make a burner safe in an enclosed trailer? I'll let Jason take that one. He does the rig building.
Well,
that kind of thing.
I've done 2 different ways. One of them was a poor design. I don't recommend anybody doing it, but I had an 8-gallon-a-minute machine tied to an independent standalone hot box. And it was in the middle of the enclosed trailer. So what I did was I cut a hole in the side of the trailer, just like a smokestack, and turned it out and put a dryer vent on the side. And it did great, except just like everybody told me it was going to do, all the diesel fumes turned my red trailer black. So I had to use some EBC to get that off about every, a week or so. But it looked kind of cool. Look at a smokehouse going down the road. But what I've learned to do in the future, or in current rigs, one of my guys, Kevin Sanders, he just built his rig out, and it was the same exact thing: 8-gallon-a-minute standalone machine with an 8-gallon-a-minute standalone hot box, and he put it at the the rear of the trailer. And although if you turn it on without any kind of elbow in it, it's going to shoot up in the very back of the trailer, still hit the roof. So what we did was went to Lowe's and found the HVAC 90-degree. I believe it was a 6-inch. There's my dog on me. A 6-inch 90-degree angle for duct work, and then use the duct work tape, the duct tape, to wrap around it. And so all that did was just divert the smoke out, out the back of the trailer, which works well. I will caution people: do not reduce the size of that hole, of the exhaust hole. If you do, it'll misfire. And my first one misfired because I reduced it down from a 6 to a 4. So keep that in mind. It will not run right that way.
This is where, for me, a lot of this knowing and talking to people in the industry is really important. It's why I highly recommend going to the Huge and all that. And it's why I recommend classes and education and all that, because Jason, you learn those from what? The School of Hard Knocks. The School of Hard Knocks is a really good school. You never forget what you learn there typically. But it's very expensive school sometimes. So anyhow.
Well, if we're touching on the Huge, I would love to say one thing about it. If people are going this time that have never been in the past, you're in for an experience. My very first time there, I was blown away that one, there was even a thing called a pressure washing convention. That kind of blew my mind. Number two is everybody in the place was cool. I mean, they were on your team. They're there to help you. The classes were, geared for beginners, intermediate, and pros. You could pick which one you wanted to go to. There was paid classes that, were really in depth. But the biggest thing I encourage is people, if this is your first time, enjoy the classes, enjoy the vendors, shake some hands, do that. But your best conversations are going to be held at the bar. I'm not saying you have to drink. I'm not saying you have to eat. But just sit down and listen, because I heard some big guys talking in Atlanta a few years ago, and they were from Canada, Pine Creek, if you knew who I'm talking about there. And there was one in Orlando, and that's all I did was I just sat around and listened. And it's all you have to do. All of their advice may not apply to you directly, but you can somehow incorporate that into your business model, possibly to help speed and efficiency.
And it's amazing what you can learn and little tips and tricks that you can pick up. That I mean, I was the same way at my first convention to begin with, and then the first Huge convention. I mean, I learned so much, and I connected with so many great people that I could then pick up the phone and call and say, hey man, I got this problem or that problem. And if you're the shy person, dude, try to pick up your feet and just walk up and say hi. That's all you got to do. And typically it'll work out from there. I mean, if somebody comes up and they say hi to me, I'm usually game on, go for it, unless my brain is off on something else. I just went to the event up there in Pennsylvania with Eric and Lisa Sheets, and Andy Don was there, and I was in the middle of something, and Andy came up, and I feel so bad about that. I'm sure he's not on here, but I feel so bad about that because I didn't spend the time that I should have with him, and it caught me like days later. I'm like, I think I saw Andy there. So look, sometimes people get busy, but just go up and say hi and shake their hand, and everybody's just there everybody's there to help. So all right, this one says, check out Aluminum Trailer Group in Ocala, Florida. They make the best all aluminum enclosed trailers that I've ever seen. He made an 8x16 with dual 6,000 axle roll-up doors, best washing rig I ever had. Chicago Land says, when they apply these coatings, Dougie, the process may not thoroughly have been applied, causing the failure. Absolutely. And again, this has happened on many different roofs. And it's the reason that we switched gears and said, okay, we're just not going to do that anymore, because the potential downturn for us is too high. And so because Galvalume is really growing in my area, there's a lot of houses that are getting it. And it's not my fault or my responsibility that you put that on your house. My job is to fix it and find the best possible solution that I can to fix that and not cause any issues. So just like Jason was saying, I'm going to educate the customer on what I feel are the best ways to approach this roof without causing any damage. But here are the potentials for damage. Either way I do it, there's potential for damage for that. So I try to make sure I cover that. Let's see, next one. This is a long one. Let's see what it says. I did a job yesterday where it had Galvalume Roofing with a hardy dormer. I contemplated on using Simple Green to clean the dormer, but after doing a test spot with a light house wash mix, the homeowner said go for it. So I hit it with about a 1% mix while keeping it wet. Turned out great, but I've also turned one out about 11 years ago when I first started out, and always said I was going to stay away from them. Some will turn and some won't. Absolutely. You just never know, and it's kind of like flipping a coin sometimes. I'd love to know who that Facebook user is. That's absolutely the way I feel about it. You know, it can be where you have absolutely nothing go wrong, or it can be where you absolutely have everything go wrong. Most of the times, nothing is going to happen. That is true. I believe that. Okay, but there are just those times when something goes wrong, and it can be catastrophic to your business. Not only that, but you know, it goes back to that whole. You know, Ray and I talk about you know, insurance all the time, and guys probably get tired of hearing us with that, again, broken record thing. But this is one of those issues where I feel like the insurance company might say, we don't have to cover it. You applied a chemical that you should not have applied to this roof. And I do know somebody that had that happen. It wasn't with Galvalume, it was a painted roof, and he stripped the paint off the roof, and the insurance company said, no, sorry, we're not covering that. That's your problem, not our problem. Most insurance is designed to protect you if something accidental happens, like you're spraying the roof and you overspray and you hit a tree. Okay, they're going to cover the tree, but not the roof, because that's what you're working on. Now, it depends on policies. We're not here for that. So, so a test spot with a pump-up sprayer, make sure you use a fresh batch every time. And as I've kind of tried to go over here, that, you know, test spots don't always give you the answer that you might be looking for. So you might feel like you're absolutely safe on the thing, only to find out that you're not. And the problem is, when you find out, it's generally too late. And Michael, going back to the whole conversation about the tuition that it is, when you have the tuition for the guys, just it's escaping me. I'm having one of those nights, right? The School of Hard Knocks. So the tuition at the School of Hard Knocks is extremely high. It is the most expensive tuition that you can pay on the face of this earth. Hands down, best education you'll ever get. You don't forget those things. And as Ray and I have said in the past, most of the classes that we teach are based on the School of Hard Knocks. Pat Clark just popped in and said, love it. I guarantee you, Pat Clark would say the same thing. A lot of his faux pas are things that he learned by accidental stuff that happened. And it's that really expensive tuition that you have to pay. I look at it this way, all the education, and let's go back to the huge convention for a second. You go there, and all the classes that you're going to go to, the cost of going to the convention, the cost of hotel rooms, of fuel, the airline tickets, the meals and all that, you look at it and you say, man, that's expensive. But I guarantee you, some of the stuff you're going to learn there, you're going to make twofold, fivefold, tenfold, 50-fold over what it is that it's going to cost you there. And if you don't make it in the dollar sense of it, you end up making it in the mistake that you don't make. And by meeting, you know, people like Jason and talking to him, myself, Pat Clark, I mean, all these different people that are going to be there that have been there and done that sort of thing, right? Anyhow, let's see. Jonathan Neal says, I'm going for the first time this year. Congratulations, man. Definitely spend some time meeting and greeting and shaking people's hand. And when you sit down in a classroom, look, this is something I'm going to encourage all of you to do, right? Take plenty of business cards with you. You're not meeting any customers there, right? No. But when you're there and you sit down at a chair in one of the classes, you're in a breakout session, turn around and hand the guy on the right a card, and hand the guy on the left a card. Why not, right? And see where they're from. Maybe get their card. You might find out they're in your area, or they may have knowledge that you don't have. You may have knowledge that they don't have, and you might be able to build a relationship there. Relationships are so super important. They really, really are. All right, Pat Clark's in the house. Jonathan says, I'm looking into joining Spray Wash Academy and taking the class on Wednesday. That's awesome. Depending on which class you're taking, and if you're going to the huge convention, don't forget that, first of all, pro members are half price for the classes there. But also, if you join as a Spray Wash Pro member, let me back up. So if you're a pro member, you get all the classes at half price. But if you go to the huge convention, if you're going to the huge convention and you sign up for the plant and property class, you're also going to get the government sales class free, comes with the other class. I would even say that if you sign up for the plant and property class, and you want to go to the basics class ahead of time, that would be something to do as well. So Facebook user says, why can't they see my comment? I don't know. So Streamyard says that there's a button that you have to click that says, hey, I'm agreeing for you to share my name or whatever it is. I'm not sure how that actually works because I haven't been on that end, but you've got to click some button or something.
If I can help you, Streamyard is a third party off of Facebook, and you have to sign up with Streamyard for just one time. Then it members you from then on.
Gotcha.
Probably log in as guest users.
Mm-hmm. Let me go over some of my notes here, make sure I covered some of the topics right now. That was another thing about Galvalume, that it's supposed to have basically self-healing capabilities. Okay, so what I mean by that is that, like on the edges, when they cut the edges, although it will rust a little bit, it's supposed to basically self-heal itself, and it won't continue to rust. It'll only rust right where it's cut, and then it'll stop from there. That's how Galvalume is supposed to work. And most Galvalume is coated, though there is a coated and an uncoated Galvalume. And I kind of wonder if maybe that's not also part of the problem. Just like was being said earlier, that sometimes the coating isn't fully applied in this area or that area, and that's part of where it comes from. Or again, like I said, when the builder's building it and they go up and they get some stuff on the roof, so they go up there with some gasoline or xylene or something, and they clean off the mess that they made, like caulking they spilled or whatever. And so they create an issue where now that coating has been compromised. I think that could also be another issue. John Sacco says, Jason builds some really nice rigs. I agree with that. I love the all the rigs having the lights on the insides of the tanks, the different colors. I like that. A lot.
I'm big on lights. I'm still a kid at heart, if you couldn't tell. I love to have fun. I like to be pretty. I like to be flashy. For what reason, I have no idea, but I just do. And as from a business aspect, there's been a lot of people, like we're doing a big job tonight, which is why I'm here talking to you now. But and two of the rigs are going to be there, and they're both lit. And one of them is the new flatbed that I put on Facebook, and that one's got tank lights in all tanks. And people walk over and talk to you and say, "How'd you do that?" kind of thing. When it's real simple, but they want to know, why is it lit? Is it lit for show, or is it lit so you can see the actual levels of the water? But then that strikes up the conversation. But they remember you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to go for. My son is wanting me to order rock lights for that new flatbed, so all the suspension's lit up at night too. So do that, let him put them on. I don't know, but I just like to be different. Just different. So
that's absolutely the reason for the colors of my company. It's the reason for the reels being on the wrong side of my truck. All that stuff making me different. That's the point of it, and being memorable. What does Miss Rochelle think of all those lit up lights?
Well, she definitely knows when I come home. I can tell you that. So,
there you go.
But no, I've, Brandon, of course, my business partner. If I haven't mentioned that throughout the time, Brandon Santander, he's a great guy, helps me along. But his favorite color is green. So in his, he had green lights in his water tank and all that. So, but now we've kind of molded the USA colors, where red, white, and blue on the rigs now. So
we're gonna pick on Brandon when we get to the huge. I mean, okay. We're gonna try to break him out of his shell a little bit. That's
he's quiet till you get him going. Then he's a
go-getter.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see. I didn't look. Yeah, he is a snowflake, but that's just the way it is. Maybe hook your tank light up to the control wizard lighting to know if you're on water or SH. That would be a good idea as well. All right, let's see. The coating is also important because of the warranty that it is. So this is one of the things where I go back to, you have to sometimes go back and look at what the manufacturer says about how to clean their coating, because you don't want to be the one that's accused of stripping the coating off. because that's where the warranty comes from in some of these instances, right? So you don't want to be the one stripping that warranty off if it would. Also in Spray Wash Pro, I believe that we do have, like US Steel and a couple of others, their technical bulletins on some of the Galvalume products. And US Steel is one of the ones that's, and I think I might have that one. Let me see if I can bring that one up. Maybe that's the reason I was trying to share that one image earlier. Go to this window. Yeah, I think that's why I was trying to bring this one up earlier, because on here it says, no, that's not the one. All right. Well, still isn't there. So there's one that was in here that was saying, now I know. Dang it. I'm just feeling stupid tonight, but that's okay. I need to share a certain page that I have up. And that's what I need to share. So let me bring this off of here. All right, give me 1 second and I will be able to share it with you. This one right here. All right, so on this one here, what this says is, let me get rid of this comment. All right, so this thing down, if you read through here, it says you can clean the panels as necessary with a 5% solution in water of commonly used commercial and industrial detergents. Use a cloth, soft bristle brush, or pressure wash, or rinse completely with water. When surfaces are dulled by heavy deposits of dirt or other contaminants, a heavy-duty 1/3 cup of dry powdered laundry detergent, such as Tide, mixed with water may be used, followed by rinse. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then it goes on to say 1 quart sodium hypochlorite, a 5% solution of bleach, mixed with 3 quarts of water. Well, I mean, so it takes what, 16? Well, that's quarts, not cups. But so that's a quart. How many quarts are in a gallon? I forgot. Man, I'm totally blowing this. I made my notes that said on a cup, which would be 1/64th. But nonetheless, that is a really, really low mixture ratio. That's hardly using any bleach in there at all. Okay. So there in this one here, and this one here is from, let's see where this one is. This is coming directly from Fabrol. Fabrol is another manufacturer, and so this is their recommended way of cleaning. And again, they're barely saying to use any bleach at all. And so some of them will say, you know, don't use bleach. Some of them will say you can use a little bit of bleach. I haven't found anything that says use, you know, hey, use a lot of bleach on there. Most of them will say use a detergent and water, or they'll say use a warm water and detergent, mild detergent, simple green, Tide, something to that nature, but they don't come out and say use bleach. And if they do, generally or sometimes they'll say use bleach if all the other stuff hasn't worked, or if it's got an algae or mildew on top of it. But then they come out with a very mild bleach solution that just generally isn't going to work if it's that far gone. All right, so let's see. Michael says, don't hook your tank lights to your brake lights. Trust me. All right. See how you are. Y'all are picking on me now. Let's see. Can we get a quick go over of how to wash a standard galvanized metal roof? Yeah, kind of did that a little bit, where for me, I think you can use a bleach solution. We have used a bleach solution on a standard galvanized roof. The issue that you run into is that you don't typically run into it that day, that week. Okay, because bleach is a corrosive, it can exacerbate the rusting that's already on that roof, right? So that's where I'm really going to point you towards an agent halt afterwards, those kinds of things. But if it's a straight galvanized roof, we've cleaned many of them with a bleach, you know, a roof mixture. You know, again, you can do test spots. I'm just not a big fan of test spots on galvanized roofs because of that. I hate pressure washing to begin with. When I'm saying pressure washing roofs. I like to do flat work. Aside from that, I don't really like pressure washing, but I love to do flat work. So if you got to get up on the roof, I mean, it's slick, the algae's slick, depending on the pitch, all those kinds of things. I try to stay away from that as much as possible, especially with the guys. But standard galvanized roof, yes, I would clean it with a roof mixture. Just that I would make sure that I neutralize any metal roof. I would make sure I neutralize after the fact. Jason, what say you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm kind of leery about giving, like this person asked, a quick, go over, because every situation is different. Like I teach my guys, if there's a Galvalume roof coming up, let me know. I want to be on site, and some of them I do myself because I'm worried about, hey, this is it, too strong? Is it too hot outside, etc. But the biggest thing I think is setting expectations for the homeowner, because roof washing in itself is one of our more expensive things that we offer.
Yep.
But Galvalume especially is going to be quite a bit higher, and you have to explain why. I'm not going to get into the $99 guys, but there's other guys out there that may do it cheaper, and that's fine. If they want it cheaper, let them do it. But
Absolutely.
I'm going to take every precaution I can, and I tell the client
to do the best I can.
I have to get the mixture, the exact percentage that I want before I want to start, and that's doing the test spots. Now I know test spots is not going to be the end all to everything, but to me it does help me out just to make sure, hey, this coating is not gone off this roof already. So
absolutely.
But that's but down is with a regular injector, not a super sud sucker, because those are stronger than your normal ones. I would use a regular general pump injector to do it. But again, don't take my word for it. You do your test spots.
Well, and this is where it's also important too. Again, going back to the question that was from Rich and Maria. So Rich, that it does depend on your equipment. So that does make it hard to answer all questions, because when I answer questions, a lot of times in my brain, I'm thinking about the equipment that I use and not the equipment that you use. And so and that's something that we run into all the time online as well, where somebody answers a question and it seems like, well, that's the wrong way. That's because they have different equipment than you have. And so it would be the wrong way using your equipment. And like downstream injectors and super sud suckers and booster pumps and 12-volt pumps, and they can all mean that you're approaching it a little bit differently, and they can apply different strengths and different things. So do definitely keep that in mind as you go through that. Great info. I'm at my full-time job grading lumber, listening on a PA speaker. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you. Michael J says TSP. Yes, that's actually one of the other recommended cleaners in a lot of these instances where they mention a product. They will say a lot of times TSP. So TSP, Simple Green, and Tide seem to be things that are always brought up or seem to always get mentioned as the proper way to clean, use this product kind of a thing. Wow, Wes, I don't know what you mean by 4, buddy. And then Rich and Maria said it said right after that statement, use 0 bleach on Galvalume. Yeah. No, I don't think it said use 0 bleach on Galvalume. Let me go back to that. It said, maybe it did. Oh, yeah. No, do not use bleach on Galvalume coated panels. Thank you. Yes. I did mean to bring that up. So, no, do not use bleach on Galvalume coated panels. You're right. Absolutely. And that's where I'm saying on some of them, the information is different between manufacturers and different between how it's said and where it's said and why it's said. I definitely fall into that thing. Like, don't use, I can't recommend bleach anymore on Galvalume roof. I just can't, because of everything I've read, everything I've seen, and everything I've done, and the reactions that have happened. Even though the vast majority don't have an issue, there are just those ones that do have the issue. I just can't recommend bleach anymore for Galvalume roofs. Anyhow, Wild West says, you asked how many quarts are in a gallon. I was just trying to give you a quick answer. So it's, yeah, 4 quarts in a gallon, but this thing said pints, I think. I can't remember anymore. Yeah, it's 4 quarts per gallon. And so that would be 16 cups. Yeah. I forget. I'm done. 4 quarts is a gallon, yes. But I think it said, so I don't think it said quart. Let me go back and read it. It said, yeah, use 1 quart sodium. Yeah, okay, so it did say quart, not cup. I got quarter cup written down for whatever reason instead of. Let me go back here. I wrote down a quarter cup instead of a quart. That's what I did, and I just confused myself when I did that. So yes, 4 quarts is equals a gallon. Thank you very much. I'm glad that somebody stuck that out there for me. I'm simple green only on that. Absolutely, some guys are that way. We do that. We'll spray simple green and brush the roof, and I charge accordingly, right? We did one. It wasn't that big of a roof, and it wasn't that bad. And I want to say we were $1,200 or $1,400 to clean the front side of this roof. The front side of this roof, which wasn't that bad except in a couple spots, was maybe 50 feet. And then, the pitch, 30 feet. I'm not sure exactly what it was, 20 feet, 25 feet, somewhere in there. It wasn't that much of an area. And I think we were $1,200 to $1,400 because it had to be brushed. We spent the whole day brushing this stupid thing. And you got to charge accordingly. That's just it. It said 3 quarts of water and 1 quart of bleach. Did I completely mess that up? Is that what I did? Oh, you can't trust me for nothing. It said 3 quarts. It did say 3 quarts of water. So it's a 25% mix ratio. You're absolutely right. I boloed that the whole way through.
That's a hot mix.
Yeah, that's a hot mix. Absolutely. Because that's a 25% mix, 2.5% mix. That's what it's saying. I totally read that wrong. Thank you for clearing that up, Rich. Wild West Services is laughing at me. Yeah. 2 pints. Yeah. All right. So like a 1.5% mix. I don't even recommend a 1% mix. The roof that I showed you in this thing earlier was we used a 0.5% mix ratio on there. So. And that's what happened to it. It turned black as night on some of it. And just to touch quick on this real quick, can it be restored was another question. We got to get off here. Time's running out. Can it be restored? The answer is yes and no. You can bring it back to where it doesn't look as bad, but you can't restore it. One restore is one of the ways to take that blackness out. That's what we were doing in that image that I showed you. But you can still see the outline of where the damage is. And then when the morning dew gets on it or the rain comes down and gets it wet, it looks black again in those areas. Once it dries up, it goes away again. But again, if you get up there, you look at it, you can still see it, especially if it's wet. So that's it. Mr. Jason, you got anything else to add before we call it a day?
I don't. This is my first time on this live stream with you. I appreciate the time. I hope to see everybody at the huge.
At the huge.
There, all these shirts right here. There's going to be like 8 of them. All my there.
Run around.
I'm not out for popularity contests. That's not my thing. But I do invite you to. Let's shake hands. I'm the same as you. You may know things that I don't, and vice versa. So
absolutely.
Let's swap stories and drink a beer, and we'll have a good time. If you don't drink beer, we'll drink water.
There you go. Or a non-alcoholic beer or a fruity drink or whatever, or, whatever. I don't care what you drink. But anyhow, there you go. Rich, Rust-Oleum Galvalume color. I'm not sure what you're asking about there, buddy. Rust-Oleum Galvalume color. There's lots of different colors on Galvalume. I mean, there's almost anything that's out there. But you know what? I've just decided that I don't think I like Rich anyhow because he's go Navy. I say go Army. Right?
I'm not sure what the Navy is. I just know Air Force. So.
All right. Yeah. We're going to get into a long discussion, right? Never mind about any of that. Hey, I appreciate y'all for listening to us. I got one more comment in here. It takes years of experience to do some of this stuff metal. Yes, absolutely. Hey, I appreciate y'all for listening to us. And man, don't forget, huge convention within 2 weeks. Be there, be square, be there, all that kind of fun stuff. So we really appreciate you. Peace out, and thank you all for joining us.
Peace.